At the top of the sanctuary's hierarchy, second only to Athena, we have the figure who represents the Grand Master of the sanctuary. This position is always given to an extremely experienced knight, who is responsible for training Athena's new knights, as well as developing the entire battle strategy against enemy gods. And 5 legendary knights have already held this position in the official stories of Knights of the Zodiac. Hello, Amazon Knights! Welcome to the Sempre Quiz Saber channel. I'm Wes. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the 5 most powerful and legendary Grandmasters of Athena's sanctuary. Are you curious? So go ahead and comment who you think will be in this video. And of course, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into this awesome video. Want to know? Number 1, Itcha of Libra. To kick off our list with a bang, we need to go back in time, specifically to the 16th century in the Saga, The Lost Canvas. This is where we find Itcha, the man who holds the title of one of the oldest and most powerful knights to ever walk the earth. Born under the constellation of Libra, Itcha was not just a formidable warrior, he was the leader in the sanctuary during the beginning of the Holy War of that era. Thus, the Libra knight who survived the Holy War of the 13th century, his skill was so absurdly immense that he could control all 12 weapons of the Libra armor simultaneously from a distance, decimating entire armies without needing to take a single step forward. However, the story of Itcha is marked by one of the most tragic and profound twists in Saint Seiya. After witnessing centuries of cruelty, selfish wars, greed, and destruction, Itcha grew sick at heart. He completely lost faith in humanity. The man who was once the beacon of justice began to believe that humans were incapable of evolving on their own. Taking advantage of this psychological weakness, the twin gods Thanatos and Hypnos sent the butterflies from the world of the dead, the Papillons, to corrupt the mind of the Grandmaster. And Itcha ended up secretly joining Hades' army. But his goal was not pure and simple destruction. In his mind, twisted by despair, he wanted to use the power of the Emperor of the Underworld to forcibly purify the world. And establishing absolute peace through mind control, using the power of the fairies from the world of the dead for that purpose. Using his powers as a Grand Master, Itcha began to corrupt the young gold knights of his time. But he was finally confronted and defeated by his own disciples of that era, those being Hakurei of Altar and Seiji of Cancer. And in his final moments, free from the influence of the underworld butterflies, Itcha regained his sanity, weeping for his mistakes and entrusting the future of the sanctuary and the new generation. His time as Grand Master left an eternal scar in history, showing that even the most righteous soul can weaken under the weight of time. Number 2, Seiji of Cancer. Now, moving to the 18th century during the events that shaped the Holy War, depicted in The Lost Canvas, we find the one who is considered by many to be the ultimate mastermind of the sanctuary, the Grand Master Seiji, survivor of the tragic Holy War of the 16th century. Alongside his twin brother, Hakurei of Altar, Seiji took on the Cancer armor and, later, the throne of Grand Master of the sanctuary. Seiji was not just a warrior with overwhelming cosmos, he was a top-tier strategist. With long white hair, a serene gaze that hid a mind always 1,000 steps ahead, and an imposing posture, he turned the sanctuary into a fortress. The greatest proof of Seiji's genius was his centuries-long preparation to face Thanatos, the god of death. Seiji knew perfectly well that brute force would never be enough to defeat a deity of that caliber, and that's why he spent 200 years studying the secrets of the gods, accumulating Athena's seals, and devising a plan that bordered on perfection. Alongside his disciple, Manigoldo of Cancer, whom he took in when he was just a street boy traumatized by death, Seiji marched into direct confrontation with Thanatos in the 18th century. The battle was legendary. The Cancer Gold Saint sacrificed his own physical body to destroy Thanatos' mortal vessel. Meanwhile, Seiji used his own life, his blood, and the iconic altar cloth of his brother to trap and seal the soul of the god of death inside Pandora's box. Seiji died smiling, knowing that he had freed humanity from one of its greatest threats and paved the way for Athena's victory in that era. Number 3, Shion of Aries. After the end of the devastating Holy War of the 19th century, only 2 gold saints remained alive on Earth. Those were Doko of Libra and Shion of Aries. While Doko received the divine mission to watch over the tower where Hades' evil stars were sealed in the 5 ancient peaks of Rosen, as well as the ability of Misophetaminos, Xion was appointed by Athena herself as the new Grand Master of the Sanctuary. Shion took the throne during a time of pure catastrophe. The sanctuary was destroyed, the population of knights had been decimated, and the world was trying to rebuild itself from the ashes. With patience and unwavering determination, the Aries man ruled the sanctuary for more than 200 years. He was responsible for rebuilding each temple of the 12 houses, gathering the lost armors, training the new generations of gold knights, and keeping the flame of justice alive while the world prepared for another holy war. Shion's tenure as Grand Master was marked by peace, but its end was of unimaginable cruelty. Already aged and with his physical strength diminished by the weight of time, Shion climbed to Star Hill, the sacred place where only the Grand Masters can go to foresee the new holy war that was approaching. It was there that he was ambushed and brutally murdered by Saga of Gemini, who coveted the throne of Grand Master of the Sanctuary. However, Shion returned as the leader of the renegades in the Hades Saga, resurrected by the Emperor of the Underworld, as a specter wearing a black surplice and with his youthful 18-year-old body. Shion led the invasion of the sanctuary, pretending to have sold his soul to evil, but in reality, it was all just part of a plan. Shion needed to cross the 12 houses to awaken Athena's legendary armor so the goddess could face Hades with all her power. Number 4, Gemini Saga. The Golden Gemini Saga represents the most turbulent, dark, and fascinating period in the classic history of Saint Seiya. Saga was considered by the people of the village of Rodorio as a true deity on Earth, a divine being with the radiance of angels, possessing angelic kindness, respected throughout Greece and idolized by all the inhabitants of the sanctuary. He was the natural candidate to succeed Shion as the Grand Master. However, when Shion chose Aiolos of Sagittarius for the position, after noticing a hidden seed of darkness in the Gemini, Saga became enraged, consumed by the evil spirit which acted as a second personality in his body. Saga's dark side took full control. He murdered Shion at Star Hill, hid the old master's corpse, and assumed the identity of the supreme ruler of the sanctuary, using a mask to conceal his true face. And so, for 13 long years, Saga ruled the sanctuary under a perfect lie. The most impressive thing is that to the outside world and to the civilians living around the sanctuary, the Grand Master was a wonderful, just, and charitable leader. However, behind the scenes, he was a ruthless tyrant. He tried to assassinate the baby Athena, exiled knights who questioned his orders, and convinced several gold saints, like Death Mask and Aphrodite, that brute force was the only real justice capable of maintaining order on the planet. Even though Saga had the evil spirit created by Kira in his body, who is a goddess of the underworld as the Grand Master, he did not want to hand over the earth to Hades or Poseidon. In his mind, he sincerely believed that Athena was too weak to protect the world, and that only he, with his overwhelming power, could lead the earth and defeat the Olympian gods who coveted the planet. His rule only came to an end after the historic Battle of the 12 Houses, where Seiya of Pegasus managed to reflect the purifying light of Athena's shield, thus expelling the evil side of Saga from his body. This is the canonical version of the story in the manga, where in a final act of redemption, Saga pierced his own chest in front of Athena, thus dying in a tragic way. Number 5, Kiki of Aries. In the spin-off manga called Saint Maria, which is being released in Japan, the new Grand Master is Kiki of Aries. Yes, my friends, Mu's disciple took on the position of leader of the sanctuary in this story, following exactly in the footsteps of Shion, who was his master's predecessor as the Aries saint. If we take into account the Lost Canvas saga, Kiki would be the third consecutive Lemurian to officially take the throne as Grand Master. That's because Seiji was the Grand Master in the 18th century in Lost Canvas, while Shion was the Grand Master in the 20th century, and Kiki would be the Grand Master in the 21st century. However, despite this and other fan theories, the story of Saint Maria ends up being the official spin-off of the work, which doesn't fit properly into the canonical timeline of the classic saga. That's because in this world, Kiki is the last survivor of the sanctuary, and he looks for young girls to awaken their cosmos and become a kind of armor hunters. And this is a story very similar to the anime Sakura Cardcaptors. That's because in Saint Maria, the armors have a life of their own and are out of control. So Maria, who is the protagonist, has to defeat them and turn them into cards which can later be activated in battles. When Maria activates one of these cards, the armor appears on her body, And she talks to the spirit of the night who is connected to that constellation. And for example, when she activates the Pegasus card, Maria puts on the armor and talks to the spirit of Seiya, thus being able to use the secret abilities of that constellation. Therefore, the protagonist can use the power of several different armors, such as silver, bronze, or gold. Other friends of Maria join the story and acquire cards of other armors to help her in the battles. Meanwhile, Kiki is the Grand Master who assists these warriors in the battle against evil. Did you like the video? Comment below which of these characters is the best Grand Master in your opinion. And of course, thank you for watching this video until the end. See you next time. May your infinite Cosmo burn.